Okay. I'm assuming we just okay. It's 9 o'clock. I'd like to call commission to order. Commissioner Strable, would you give us some presentation?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. Commissioner Atkins.
Here.
Commissioner Delano.
Here.
Commissioner Mace. Commissioner Caswell. Commissioner Tillman. Commissioner Stewart.
Here.
Commissioner Matt Smith. Commissioner Strable.
Here.
Commissioner Tiana Smith.
Present.
And the chair is present. We do that. Okay.
Yes, here.
Is there anybody here that would like to address the commission this morning? Let's just get out of here early today. Approval of the September 2024 meeting summaries. Does anybody have any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, they stand approved as presented. Agenda items. Okay, the important thing we need to do today is elect a vice chair. Since we didn't do it last month because there was nobody here, or very few people here. Is there anybody that would like to nominate somebody knowing that the candidate cannot be a Democrat?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Cheryl Caswell for vice chair.
Is there a second to that nomination?
Yes.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? And I'm assuming since she volunteered in August,
She hasn't
still willing
changed her
to
mind.
serve.
That was my only hesitation, because I knew that somebody had volunteered, but I'm not good at names, so I couldn't remember. Thanks.
Okay, do a roll call. Are there, let's finish first. Are there any other nominations for vice chair?
Move we close nominations?
I gotta do that 3 times.
Okay.
Are there any other nominations for vice chair? Are there any other nominations for vice chair?
Move to close nominations.
Nominations are closed. Having only one candidate, without objection, we'll declare her the winner by acclamation.
Congratulations,
So, Mr.
Cheryl.
Caswell is the vice chair. All right. Update on general election handling of the 2-card ballot. Director Hargrove, or Jeremy, whoever.
Good morning, Chair Bickle, Commissioners. So, yeah, we're ready. Okay. So, the election preparation is moving along. Of course, early voting has already started. I think most of you probably saw the press release from the county about the address, the GIS address issues that occurred. And so it started at GIS, and of course it affects all the addressing for the county, so it affected the recorder's office. The recorder had to fix several addresses, correct their the school districts that were in the wrong school district, so that was corrected. And we actually found, it was about 4 addresses, I believe, where there were individuals who actually did not have a ballot. So the elections department, the following week, we found this, and so the elections department had to create a ballot style for those individuals who actually didn't have a ballot. We did that. It took about 1 day. Figured out how to do it. We worked with Runback. They did validations, so it did not. I think it affected about, was it about 1,200 ballots they had to reprint? Do you guys remember? Yeah. So it was about 1,200 ballots we had to reprint for that particular ballot style that we corrected. And so that's done. Everybody should receive the correct ballot style. Early voting, of course, is going well. Obviously, ballots were not being returned as quickly as we anticipated, so we did not get as many Monday, Tuesday as we thought we would get. We did receive a Monday, Tuesday turnover. We didn't receive over, maybe 500. We didn't receive much, maybe about 2,800. Yesterday, we did receive a nice turnover of about 5,000 ballots, and they have a lot of ballots that they picked up from the post office, so we should be consistently busy going forward. The early board is going to work tomorrow, right?
Yeah, that's the plan for now.
That's the plan for now. So they're going to work tomorrow to try to keep up, because we want to be able to start tabulating ballots on Monday. So the plan is to start tabulating those ballots on Monday, as well as we're going to do adjudications at the same time. So electronic adjudications while we are tabulating ballots. So all of that will begin on Monday. So that's all going well. No problems there. The poll workers have been approved by the Board of Supervisors. They approved the poll workers. The vote centers did not change, so there's been a lot of information pushed out about vote centers. We have in the libraries, I can't remember the name of the group right now, but there is a Hispanic Latino group that has taken a lot of those posters. They're going to put them up in grocery stores and different places in the community, the Hispanic community, so that that's there. We've had a lot of media going out, social media, radio, even radio interviews. Had an interview with AHO. We've had a lot of outreach this election, so we've been out to different events with our outreach, showing people the two-card ballot. So a lot of interest in that. And we're just trying to do voters that are voting early two-card ballot, and just trying to remind voters that are voting early to ensure that they put both ballots back in the envelope when they send them back. That's been pretty consistent with what we've been seeing with the early board. So there have not been a lot of individuals who've only sent in one card, so most of them are sending in the two cards, so that message is out there and they're doing it. So that's a good thing. We did have to adjust some procedures with the early board, and Vanessa and Carly. Carly is the fellow from the Secretary of State's office, and she has been with me since August, and she'll be here through the election, so she has been instrumental in helping out with, helping Vanessa out, as well as helping out with outreach, especially with the University of Arizona. So with U of A, of course, they wanted a vote center on campus. That's just not practical. So they will, we've been working with them with First United Methodist Church, getting the word out about that. We were on campus with them. What day were we on campus?
October 2nd.
October 2nd. So we were on campus. We had outreach on campus October 2nd. We created cards, communications created cards for them that has the date of the election and other dates on their early voting. But it also has a QR code on there. If they scan the QR code, it brings up a Google map, so they can get walking directions or driving directions to the actual vote center. Let's see, we also will have a poster out there for election day, before election day, working with the university. The county will print arrows to place on the ground. They're gonna put them down Monday night on the ground, leading them to the vote center. So we're doing everything that we possibly can to make sure that the students can get to the vote center, that they are aware where it is. The arrows actually have the address of the vote center on it as well. So, you know, we have been working on that. We've been doing that. We are, of course, ready to, we're programming the electronic poll books. We're getting ready to test those. The packing for the vote centers is going well, and we'll be ready to have all of that delivered the week before the election. Okay. So I don't think I've missed anything, but so there are other procedures that we're actually probably going to change as well in the counting room. We have looked at, there is an issue if someone decides to overvote their ballot with more than 20 people. If they decide to do more than 20 overvotes, then we may have to shift our process. So for the individuals who will be observing in the counting room, we will provide them the documentation to explain what we're doing. So if they see a change in the process, they will actually know what's actually going on. So, but that's the system. I guess the system wasn't designed for people to decide to it's a large ballot. So if you overvote a certain number, it just kind of gets angry, to put it simply. And I think that's it. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Do you have any idea how many ballots have come back with just the first page or the second page, but not both pages?
I would say 98% have come back with both pages. So out of what we've processed so far, we've only had, honestly, a handful that have come back with just a single page, either card 1 or card 2. Majority have been both.
Yeah, when I was flipping through the sheets last night, it looked like maybe about 7.
And when talking to the reporter earlier in the week, she mentioned that if we have a husband and wife situation where we get 2 card 2s in one envelope and 2 card 1s in the other envelope, then the ballot, is that a safe assumption?
So, if send back, correct. So, on card 2, we will reject it. We will not be counting it in our office. So that will be a reject that will go back to the recorder. Correct, Vanessa? The reject will go back to the recorder.
Yes.
Yes.
Notify the recorder and they would come reconcile that on their end.
Yes, but we will not be counting that.
So would the recorder's office make an attempt to resolve that issue?
We have no idea.
I'm not sure.
Okay. So this
In a county this large, that would be an astronomical feat. It may be simple starting out, but as they start coming in, you know, it would be really difficult unless there was something already in place to deal with that. So I don't know, it would be, where's office is going, but if it would be, I would say no.
And I'm assuming if the pages get separated somewhere in the tabulation process, that doesn't create a problem?
Correct,
I
so,
mean, if page 2 went to machine A and page 1 went to machine F.
correct, but they batch them, so whatever the batches are that they're sending through, that's all in one machine, so it's all in one ballot bag.
But it doesn't have to be 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
No.
It can be 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2.
That is correct. The scanner doesn't really care.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
Have a comment? I
Commissioner
really like
Tillman.
your poster. I was looking for something like that yesterday and found it on your website. Thought it was wonderful. Could it also be put on the Pima Votes website?
Commissioner,
It
what's the
wasn't there
poster?
It wasn't there as of yesterday.
Are you speaking of the vote center poster?
The one by region, yeah.
Yes, I can speak to communications to see if they can put that out there. Communications designed that, they did do a good job, so.
Yeah, it's really very useful. And is it possible if I followed you down to elections, I could pick up some posters?
actually do not have any.
You know, where are they?
We would have to have them printed. We did not have any printed for us. They are in libraries, but we didn't have any printed for us. Do you want, what size do you want?
Well, I can just print something from what's on the website.
Okay. I mean, because we could print an 11 by 17 in our office. Yeah, in color? Yes. We can print an 11 by 17 for you in our office if you do not have the capacity to do that.
Okay, yeah, that'd be good.
Okay.
Constance?
Yes.
Oops, sorry. Have we ensured that all the ballots have been delivered, given the delays out of Runback?
That is actually a recorder question, but I do not believe we're still getting calls with people saying they have not received their ballots, so I'm hoping that they have been delivered. They're supposed to be delivered by this weekend, I believe, for the rural areas.
I know people in town who hadn't gotten it as of yesterday,
Mm.
and they were waiting until Friday, which is what they were told to ask about it. Maybe calls them.
Well, they should be calling, they will call us, but they should be calling the recorder's office. Yes.
Yeah, we normally get them, if they mail them on Wednesday, normally we have them by Friday. And we didn't get them until a week later. This time, I'm sure that has something to do with the delay with Runback, but we got the text message that said they'd been delivered on Wednesday the 9th. Mailed on Wednesday the 9th,
Yes.
but we didn't get it until Wednesday the 16th, which was an extremely long period of time to wait for the, but once we mailed them back, we got the text message that said they received it, they're ready to go. So,
Commissioner Bickle, I think that first text message that we all received, that they were going to go out on the 9th, everybody really wasn't in that first batch that went out on the 9th.
yeah.
Director Hargrove, can you tell me about the number of poll workers that you have, or vote center workers that you have, and is that number adequate at this time?
How many poll workers? I'm going to defer to Jeremy on that one. Jeremy?
The total number, I think right now is around 1,400.
Okay.
Yeah, depending on the vote center size, it can vary from anywhere from 8 poll workers up to 14, 15. So,
And is that adequate for your needs right now?
it is.
Excellent.
We have everybody we need right now. We have over 2,000 people applying, and there's no spots for us. So.
It's good to hear. Thank you.
Since we don't have dedicated precinct voting locations anymore in their polling places, and anybody can vote at any one that they want, are we anticipating any shifts in volume from 2022 to 2024? I mean, where you have polling center A with 1,000 voters and polling center B with 500. Could we have polling center A with 250 and polling center B?
You never.
1,250 just go out?
You could, of course,
Is
you
there-
never know.
Is there a plan to shift staff if we see that happening?
We could, if that happens. I think by this point, we've had a few elections. We know where the higher turnout vote centers typically tend to be.
Okay.
So those, of course, we make sure that we have extra supplies in some cases. But if there was a shift, yes, we could. We're actually scheduling standbys at all vote centers right now. So just about every vote center has at least 2 workers on standby. If we needed to call those workers up, they would be ready. So if we do get that influx at a vote center that we weren't necessarily expecting.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Moving on, discussion on a better election, also known as AID, and the cash vote record and ballot images. This is a product that I've received twice since the primary, I think, from Mr. Brady's organization. For those of you that aren't familiar with Mr. Brady, you're fortunate. He and I, he's either my best friend or my worst enemy. It depends on what's going on in any particular time. But this is a computer program that they've developed to be able to monitor ballot images and cash flow records and compare them to see whether the results that he gets are the same as the results that elections got when he tabulated the ballots. I'm not advocating for or against the use of the system. I just would like to be aware, the commission to be aware that the product is out there, and I don't want to get to the point where we have the perception in the general public that we're afraid to at least try it or utilize it to do something to see whether it works. I think, you know, somebody's going to eventually start a campaign that says we have a product out there that will verify the tabulation of the ballots, and you don't want anything to do with it. I think if the information that I've got is correct, the litigation they had requiring the elections department to maintain the ballot images was found to be in their favor, and they're currently in litigation to have them determined to be a public record that has to be turned over. So that hasn't been adjudicated completely yet, but I anticipate results on that sometime between this election and the next election. So just something that I think we need to be aware of, that there's a possibility that this may actually be something that is going to be out into the general public once you start getting requests for digital records of cash flow records and ballot images. And I know that's a tight piece of information, but we need to find a way to get out to the public if that's ever something we have to deal with.
Commissioner Bickle, of course, statutorily, we can't release ballot images.
Right.
That's just kind of our standard response. We get them all the time, those
Okay.
requests.
Okay.
And the same for the cash flow record.
It really ties into the ballot images, so we've not been compelled to release that.
Because that's one of the things they're requesting.
Yes, they request those all the time.
I don't understand what they think the problem is that they're solving.
I don't understand either.
Chair Bickle, I am familiar with Mr. Brakey, and I have seen his process in action, and in many ways I find it very impressive in that you can quickly validate that votes in a given precinct as opposed to a batch, which is much harder to track. Precinct statistics are very well known. Line up correctly. And I forwarded an email from Mr. Brakey to Chair Bickle, or actually had Vanessa. I forwarded it to Vanessa and asked her to forward it to you and to Director Hargrove. I would like to actually see a presentation in this meeting at some point, you know, perhaps sometime in the first quarter, so that we could look about how we validate these things going forward quickly. I like what we do here in Pima County, but it's a small batch, and it's only done by batch. It's not done by precinct. Things are not as clean that way. You can tell whether a batch lines up, but you can't tell whether a precinct lines up. So I think it's worth looking at further. You know, if we're amenable to having a presentation, that'd be good. If we're also amenable, I'd like to have that email forwarded to the rest of the commissioners so that you can see the summary of the product yourselves.
Keep that in mind for first quarter of next year.
The presentation?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't think it would be worth trying to do it in November.
No.
Typically, we don't meet in December because everybody's celebrating Christmas somewhere.
Doing a recount?
We're doing a recount.
Yes.
So, but certainly I have no objection to seeing the presentation, and whether we carry it any further than that is something that remains to be seen.
Chairman
The main
Bickle.
problem with that is if he gets a different number from ours, whose number is right? And is his machine certified by the same kinds of procedures that our machines are certified?
Good questions. And questions for him, not for me. Any other discussion on
Yeah.
that issue?
Just Just one clarification, can I have the email forwarded to the rest of the commissioners?
Not a problem as far as I'm concerned.
All right, thank you.
Can I, Commissioner Bickle, can I make a request that when they give us this presentation, an assessment of how this enhances, I'll say, beyond, or enhances beyond what the logic and accuracy test our elections office does, and how it adds value, so that they at least address how we do business here versus just
Yes.
an academic approach to, I'll say, auditing elections. So how is this going to add value to Pima County?
Yeah, not a problem. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none. A discussion ensuring timely recounts is outlined in Governor Hobbs' elections task force. And I believe the last time we met, we sent a memo to the Board of Supervisors asking them to support state funding of, is it Evan? Okay. I was going to correspond with both the Secretary of State and the Governor to find out whether anything has been done with anything on that. I did an end run and talked to the recorder, who is a member of the task force, and she said, to the best of her knowledge, nothing has been addressed on that report yet, and I don't anticipate that it will be until after the election is wrapped up and certified and everything. I read the lengthy explanation they had and the concern that everybody has, and this is kind of one of those, not necessarily a whack-a-mole activity, but looking at moving the threshold for a recount from 0.1% to 0.5% significantly increases the margin of victory that requires an automatic recount. Looking at data provided by the Secretary of State's office as far as the number of registered voters, particularly in Pima County, and the annual voter performance being in the 70 to 75% range, we could have recounts on a statewide race that had a margin of error of 150,000 or less. We could be doing several more recounts on a regular basis than we're doing, now, because this went into effect between the primary and the general election in 2022, if I read things right. So we were doing more recounts in the general election in 2022 than we normally would. And the biggest issue that's a concern with the Secretary of State and to the Governor, and should be a concern to most candidates, is you're going to find it real hard to get the recount done in a timely fashion in between the general election and the time that the votes need to be certified. And the primary and the general election, getting a recount done in the primary so we can get the ballots for the general election published in. And the recommendation is to move the primary election a week or two. And we've already moved the primary election 3 weeks further than it used to be. And if you move the primary election another 2 weeks, that means you vote the signature gathering application another 2 weeks. And the legislators are going to find themselves in session rather than campaigning during most of the election cycle. So don't know. And to piggyback on the comment you made about what is this going to do, it's going to make a significant difference other than we're going to do what it has. It's going to make a significant difference other than we're going to do more elections, more recounts on elections because of a higher recount threshold than we used to have. So it's already in place. It would have to be undone by the legislature. But I'd like to see the Secretary of State's thoughts on this after we get done going through a presidential election, the senatorial election, and all the congressional elections that may or may not have recounts on a statewide basis. We could be tied up in recounts for an extended period of time.
So Chair Bickle, I think you're aware that House Bill 2785 addressed a lot of this, shifted dates. It cut the time frame for a lot of things. But I will say that between the primary and the general election, even though the primary is shifted, there's not a lot of time to get ballots prepared and proofs done. And if we have a local recount, if we are involved in a recount, then the programming cannot start until we finish that recount. So it does program their election, especially those that program their own elections. So.
I'm more concerned about getting the vote out in terms of the electors being able to choose a president.
Other comments, questions, or concerns? Problems we're going to have to deal with, or at least be aware of between now and sometime in the future. Okay, the next item on the agenda, discussion on reconciliation best practice guidelines is outlined in Governor Hobbs' task force. And I'm still trying to figure out what that says, but I know that they're trying to standardize the reconciliation procedure for problems that occur at the Secretary of State's office, so everybody does the same thing the same way in all 15 counties, or that's the way I read that. Come to that same conclusion.
Chair Bickle, I believe that is what they want to do, but they did host a series of, I guess, training classes at our weekly or monthly meetings with the election group, where they did go over reconciliation, provided resources. They went over handling a 2-card ballot and provided documentation and resources for that as well. So that is what they did this year, I guess in lieu of and based on the time frame that they had to get something in place. But I think that is what they would like to do. They would like to have it standardized across the state, which it is not right now.
Right. Any other comments, questions, concerns with that particular issue? Hearing none, the next item on the agenda is future agenda items. Vanessa, if you want to track a better election thing to make sure that it doesn't fall through the cracks in the first quarter of next year. Anybody have any other agenda items for next month? And Vanessa did point out, we put the next meeting date on here for the 22nd. It's actually the 15th.
Okay, that was my question. That was my question too. So I was like, isn't that the
third.
4th?
The
Yeah,
third.
okay.
Chairman Bickle, I do have, I'll say, an observation for the recorder's office. As I visited the website last night, and the elections office is doing good at, I'll say, publishing daily statistics. The recorder's office is not. I have not been able to see any information out of the recorder's office other than the 2,500 undeliverable ballots. That's the only statistic I've been able to find on the website so far.
Okay.
So I'm a little bit concerned that they're either behind or not being transparent, and they need to get, I'm requesting that they update those statistics on a daily basis like they're supposed to.
We'll pass that information along, but this commission has no authority over the recorder's office.
Understand.
Okay. Any other? I'm anticipating that most of the election staff will not be here on November 15th.
Chair Bickle, that is correct. We will not be here.
But maybe the recorder staff will.
Chair Bickle, I would doubt that very seriously.
So we may not get a lot of outside input in November.
So what's the point?
So does anybody want to move that we not have a meeting in November?
I'd like to suggest that we have a meeting between the 15th and what would have been the December meeting, have a meeting early in December instead of either December or January, or November.
Yeah, I mean, November 29th is the day after Thanksgiving. Nobody's coming to that.
Yes, so first week in
Uh,
December.
First
And I
week
will
in December.
be in town for
first week of December.
Anybody have any problem having a consolidated bi-monthly meeting in, like, whatever the first Friday in December is?
December. The 6th.
The 6th?
I have no issues with the 6th. I think we should, since we usually don't have a December meeting and if we cancel the November meeting, anticipating some public reaction, the election, I think we got to have a meeting sometime after the election.
I do too.
And we may be in the middle of a recount.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, so Chair Bickle, if we are in the middle of a recount, I will not be here.
On December the 6th?
Yes. If we are in the middle of a recount.
Okay. Anybody else have any objections to having the next meeting on December the 6th?
Yeah, I don't get back in town till tonight.
Okay, then the next meeting will be December the 6th. And if you have any agenda items for that meeting specifically, please communicate them to Vanessa so she can get them on the draft agenda and take a look at it. Okay. Having completed the agenda, this meeting stands adjourned. Thank you all very much.
thank you.
Enough process this weekend, yes. We get enough process this weekend, yes. The recording has quite a few ballots that they received. I think they get 92 trades they picked up.
The observer schedule for morning and afternoon, Monday and Tuesday.
Is he not coming through very clear today, or?
The observer schedule for Monday and Tuesday.